sure, even if you're a buyer's agent, make sure you put on track on the
Contract.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you. And off to the next thing. Go ahead.
Right.
We have Keller Williams Sports and Entertainment with us today to tell us more about this community. Mike, we'll put them.
Awesome, and Jordan will be hopping on right now. He's gonna need screen share capability once he joins. He's hopping on.
Okay, thank you.
Who was that again? The name?
Jordan.
Jordan.
What do they think of that?
Sports and entertainment.
Maya?
Yep,
So how long do I have for this?
Hi, Jordan. Thank you for joining us.
Hi.
Hi, Jordan. How much time do you need? How much time would you like?
I can get through the main stuff in about 10 minutes, and if there's any questions, we can go from there.
That's
That's
fine.
great. Please, go ahead.
awesome, and you should be able to share your screen. Yeah, there we go.
Okay. Continue, share screen. Boom. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. How's everybody doing? So my name's Jordan Stewart. I'm one of the directors of Keller Williams Sports and Entertainment. We're a community within KWRI, consisting of, I'd say, about 850 agents within the company across North America right now, US and Canada. My partner, Jason, is based out of Orlando. He's at the United Soccer Coaches Conference right now in Philadelphia, talking to a community of 40,000 coaches. Why does that matter? Because we basically run our own lead generation within this community that's private to our community, to the benefit of our agents that are part of it, where we have a lead generation intake platform that essentially people want to buy and sell homes, they go through the platform, private URLs, things like that. We broadcast it out to our group, and agents sign up to essentially work and manifest deals with clients from all over the country, specifically in your area, or if you have an area of expertise within real estate, you can mentor those clients and send referrals elsewhere in the country. It doesn't matter if they're not buying locally to, I guess we're right north of Los Angeles. Is that where we are right now? North of Pasadena?
Pardo.
Yes.
So really kind of a neat, thinking about the 2022, 2023 real estate market, how it's changed, how we've shifted all that fun hyperbole. This is something that's become a really exciting feature within what we call the community of Keller Williams Sports and Entertainment. So we go into these big organizations, soccer coaches, these are youth coaches, these are high-level college coaches, these are private club coaches, all the way up to the professional level, and that's one example. We also have agreements in writing with certain other organizations. We have over 57,000 prospective clients within our database. We hope to be at 500,000 contacts by the end of 2023, sports and entertainment. So we're talking to an Actors Equity Guild, 51,000 members in that, all coming into our database, and all these are being essentially communicated to by their own organization. It's not us spamming them and saying, hey, do you want to buy or sell real estate using Keller Williams Sports Entertainment? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the actual agreement with the organization to come in and say, who needs help? Who's surfing on Zillow? You don't want to do that anymore. We're going to match you up with somebody through this agreement we have with this program. And it's become something really exciting, and for agents that I think are looking for where's my business coming from? Where's ways that I can be creative and differentiate myself from other real estate agents that are in my area that I look at, their lead gen, how am I differentiating? This is the way to do it. So it's called a private housing network. This is something super exclusive to our group, and our membership base loves it, and they haven't really talked about it much because they like getting, guess what? The leads to actually buy and sell real estate with representing these types of clients. 30% referral, that's on that. So it's a 70-30 split. The agent takes 70, it's a 30% referral back into what we call the private housing network. But all that is tracked through follow-up and things like that, but there is support that comes through that. So just jumping ahead here, we have branding and marketing, obviously. We will be at Inman Connect in New York on the main stage, talking about Keller Williams Sports and Entertainment. One of my good friends, Kofi, who runs a different brokerage, he used to be the head of sports and entertainment at a competitor of ours. He'll be the moderator. But we'll be on stage talking to thousands of people on the 26th of January in New York. Why this matters, why people should care about this, and why, frankly, Keller Williams is the titan when it comes to sports and entertainment real estate. So some of this may be new to everybody. I know that the word hasn't really spread too quickly about these communities. If you're interested in applying, just based off the lead generation possibilities alone, you can go to joinkwc.com or scan that QR code. We do have a guardrail, 50,000 GCI last 12 months, or if you have established relationships, which I believe in your market, you may have some in the entertainment and sports industry right there. You can fill out the application to essentially say, I know such and such, these people, this is something that could benefit my business, and also benefit the business of all of your peers that passes business, daily through this group. So 10 minutes is almost up. I'll take a couple questions if we want to do that. We also have networking and events. We'll be in Anaheim. We have a private event at the Marconi Auto Museum in Tustin, California. It's $60 million worth of cars, a red carpet event, all inclusive, food, drink, transportation, entertainment. We have a panel, an educational panel. It's a 5-hour party. It seems to me that might be a bit excessive, but I like to party and have fun. So we did rent the space out for 5 hours on Monday, February 20th. For who's ever coming to family reunion, you do have access to that private exclusive event only for this community. So, Mastermind Speaker Series is super important. We talked to a lot of really high-level people. These are also our clients in the space. We also talk SEO, things like that. If people look up Palmdale, California Realtor, does your name come up in the Google search? If it doesn't, you may want to tune into these types of opportunities to build out your Google My Business and just general success when it comes to, again, differentiating you as a real estate agent locally to sell more homes. Member portal, communication, we have Facebook groups, all that fun. People love this group. I just got to be honest, people love it. They do it every day. They spend a little bit of time on this every day. We have a ton of relationships. As I mentioned, 500,000 contacts by the end of 2023 is the goal. And I think as a rejuvenation of people's daily routine in terms of what they like to do in real estate, affecting building teams, things like that, this is also a big help. A couple of our clients on the screen there, and then I'll just back up again, quickly zooming through this. I know these are some quick wins, including somebody that took a $2,800 a month rental, just sold that client a $4.8 million home.
Wow.
Just 2 weeks ago.
That's awesome.
So, big deal. So if anyone has any questions, great. If I'm out of time, that's cool too. You can find us here on this link, joinkwc.com. I'd encourage people to apply if you're interested. We love having the market share, and we're continuing to grow.
Jordan, can you share this with us? Can you email us this link?
Yeah, I'll send the follow-up.
Okay.
Pros and the follow-up, yep.
Anyone has any questions for Jordan?
I kind of have a general question. Let's say you're not really a sports person. and you don't know much about any particular sport or team, could you still benefit from this?
100%. Absolutely. We are focused on and what's your name, sir?
Ken?
Ken. So 2023, Ken, is really focused on 1, lead generation, and 2, education. So we have we call them we have 4 pillars of how everybody should operate with these types of private clients. Mostly high net worth individuals, but this translates into general practices and best practices within selling real estate. The sports and entertainment piece of it is important because that's how we kind of consume the opportunities and honestly like beat up our competitors when it comes to making these relationships and connections. But there's an overall sense and a general ability of how do I improve as a real estate agent? How do I build my connections with other referral partners all over the country? Because we look at this, you're coming from contribution, you want to be the go-to agent in your market and establish your brand and your local brand, but also elevate that brand so the 850 other real estate agents within this group know who you are, and you can trust them to send business to them when you need your referrals also tended to correctly. So the sports and entertainment piece of it, yes, it's important, but a majority of our agents don't have a background in this, but they do have a background in terms of maybe being, a bit more intentional about creating these relationships, not just within the client base themselves, but also among their peers within Keller Williams. And we're gonna have 3 breakout sessions in Anaheim. Gary, Mark, and Jason Abrams, this is a top priority when it comes to our brokerage versus everybody else. So I would seriously say, this is something you're interested in. It is a month-to-month commitment. I didn't say there is a commitment here. Month-to-month commitment. There is a $199 a month fee that basically everybody puts skin in the game, so you have to be comfortable with having that expense within your business, but you can basically say, you're not adding enough value, Jordan, you and your team, so we're not going to do this anymore, and you can exit anytime. But we have a really good attrition rate when it comes to people coming in and saying, I'm going to spend 10, 20, 30% of my week focus on what's going on here on a daily basis. And I think that's worth, the time commitment, which is more valuable, I think, than the financial one. So,
Is the 199, is that a 12-month commitment, or how does that work?
No. That's a 1 month commitment.
Got it.
So you could come in for a month, and then you pay the setup fee. You get put into the portal. You get put into the Facebook group. You meet everybody. You come to the events, the family reunion. And then in March, you say, this isn't for me, I'm out.
Got it.
And you have 2 months of relationships that you're going to have forever. So that doesn't happen very often, but that's the way it's structured. It's our job to sit every single day and make sure that we're building content and adding value that's going to make people want to stay in the long haul, which is what's being developed right now. So.
Jordan, on that 70-30 split of the leads, if an agent signs up for the $199 to be part of this community, are there any guaranteed leads, or is there anything in the realm of, oh yeah, we do give you appointments? Is it round robin? How does that all work?
We can't guarantee any leads. That's what we can guarantee. And what's your name, ma'am?
Amy.
Amy. I like calling people by their name. So we can't guarantee leads. We haven't had a struggle when it comes to, since this has launched this private housing network, people understanding that we're manifesting business. So the leads themselves, they may not be direct sale leads per se. They may be somebody that's a professional athlete, for example, that wants to get a real estate license and wants to just learn more about how that works. Who can I talk to as a mentor? Because I want to build an investment portfolio, potentially get a real estate license. I want to mentor in the business. We broadcast that opportunity, and agents respond to it. And if they want it, they take it. We're very upfront about the fact that if a lead converts, you sign the referral agreement that it is a 70-30 split, but For the most part, you're building out these long-term relationships that honestly turn into something way bigger.
Right.
As you know, this is a relationship-based business. This specific thing is a relationship-based community, and when we talk about the educational pieces to this and how this is gonna benefit everybody, that's what we're focused on. So I'm just simply the director of the group. I have my own way of doing things. It's my job to kind of keep everything organized, and Pearl on the call here is our director of communication, so we want to be as organized as possible. We can't guarantee anything, but I think what we can do is bring something of substance to your business and allow you to think about things a little bit differently, participate with new people, and honestly have some fun with potentially making more income when it comes to what we're doing. So we can't guarantee anything though is the answer, but I think that we can bring opportunities that would definitely not exist if we aren't showcasing this as hard as we are. So
So we're in an
anyone-
area in the very high desert where there's not a lot of, I guess, sports and entertainment. What would you say to an agent that says, well, not in my community because my community is the high desert and we're kind of like subprime area and all of that and far away, we're bedroom, you know? So why these agents here? I want you to tell them, yeah.
So those four pillars that I talked about, one of those pillars is we have the most extensive coverage of any brokerage in existence. That's as far ends of the earth as you can imagine. I imagine that there is real estate transactions happening there. I'm not thinking this is like
Right.
middle of the desert per se. I assume people are transacting real estate. This is kind of like a whole different. It's hard to like put it into words, and especially in a couple minutes here of what everything that we build. But we have agents. Let's just use for example, we have agents within our group that are, in the MAPS coaching line, and I've never seen more camaraderie and more support and collaboration between agents than in this group. We actually have our mantra is collaboration, not competition. So we're not hyper focused on how many closings are happening in every market. That's not something that we really put as like a major metric for what we track. What we focus on is how am I adding value based on my market area and my knowledge of hyper-local business that's different than Metro Chicago or New York City or whatever. And these are the types of things that actually bring more business to them than you think. We had an NBA player, the sports and entertainment very specific. He bought a house in Yakima, Washington. Yakima, Washington is not Seattle, it's not Spokane, it's like kind of this middle of the random kind of place. I'm not saying you guys live in a random place, but you get it. It's not like a major metro area that has lots and lots of coverage. So if we develop real estate agents to kind of think more of a broad scale, and we bring educational opportunities through Zooms, through learnings, through platforms, through coaching. I don't like to use coaching because that steps on other things within KW, but let's call it mentorship opportunities or thinking a little bit outside the box. That's kind of our approach. And if, say, you come into this and you say, Jordan, I'm interested in this, but I feel like I'm in a little bit of an isolated community for what you guys are doing, we'll sit down and we'll brainstorm one-on-one on why this matters to you. And if we can't figure out why it matters, then potentially it's a one month and done type situation. But our door is open, and we try to basically make sure that we're talking to agents and making them feel like they can be part of something that's bigger and be a big fish in like a small pond almost. So
Thank you, I appreciate it.
How much is the setup fee?
it's $199. It's all
Oh,
$199.
everything's $199.
No.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so basically the setup fee is all the admin things. It's like a move-in fee on a condo. You have to get set up in our system, you get access to our portal, all of our, I blew through these slides, I apologize. Our portal has all of our learnings that we've ever had in this private portal. It's only accessed with you through membership, so you can watch things on everything we've ever discussed. We just talked name, image, likeness, if you guys know what that is. That's essentially working with college athletes, men and women, to utilize their name, image, likeness to essentially enhance you as a real estate agent or even create referral partners within college sports. It's really creative, kind of pioneering that, and that's not something that's mainstream whatsoever, but it certainly is a way to have an income stream if you understand what type of value you can bring to it. So it's all in this portal. That's the setup fee, and then it just continues each month. Has a huge support network within Keller Williams. Obviously, this is a huge company. There's resources behind this, and we're able to do a lot of really cool things with the kind of the community coming together and building this, as one. So
Thank you,
Awesome.
Jordan, thank you.
Great
for your
information,
time.
thank you.
We
hope
will
to see
share
you guys
this
again.
with-
Join KWC, and we will look. We want to fill in the gap markets, and again, big fish, small pond. Meet you guys in Anaheim. Meet you guys at other events. Go from there. So.
Sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you, awesome.
Bye-bye.
So,
I love it. That's great. I'm logging off with a smile on my face. Thank you. Yeah.
actually, there's a lot of sports that goes on in this valley.
Yes, it does. There's a whole bunch of
Soccer
professional athletes.
and well, he's not just talking about professional athletes, he's talking
Talking about it
about
all.
mom and dad
Yeah.
coaches and everything, and there's actually a huge soccer deal in this.
That's true.
Well, if they're speaking in front of 40,000 coaches, I mean, it's definitely not only professional sports. There's no
Yeah.
way.
Right. Well, and plus, we're only 70 miles from Hollywood,
Yeah,
sports and entertainment.
So we
I'll give
all
the
know
floor.
Amy as our amazing leader. Today, she's gonna put another hat for us as our wealth building investor. So please, Amy.
Thank you. How many Zoomers do I have out there in the world? 38? 30. Okay. So, I want to talk about a little bit about wealth building. I'm going to be putting on a class. Do I have the clicker? There we go. I'm going to be putting on a class called Deal or No Deal. You know what that class is about?
Making deals.
It's actually, is this property, should you buy it or should you not?
Oh.
Is it a deal or isn't it a deal? Is it a deal for your buyers or is it not a deal for your buyers? So it's a trick question because it's always a deal. Because time, real estate is about time, right? The longer you hold it, the more it becomes of a deal. If you're looking to flip it, then it's a little different story, right? You got to get it at the right time. But here we go. Warren Buffett says, if you need to use a computer or calculator to figure it out, you shouldn't buy it. It's pretty true, right? Because you should be able to look at a property, kind of evaluate how much money it needs, if it needs to be rehabbed or fixed up or, whatever it is, and sometimes it doesn't. And right now, what's interesting is everybody's taking their foot pedal off that gas. And it's really weird because I'm an investor. And my foot pedal I haven't removed it from the gas. I'm still looking at properties. By the way, I'm right now, and I have been looking for the right property in San Diego Metro. So the rates are not freaking me out because you know why? Because I date the rate. I marry the property. I date the rate. Right? So what am I talking about? What is Amy talking about? So what? It's temporary. I don't care. Whatever it is right now, I'm marrying that property. It's got to be the right property that makes sense in the long run for me, right? For whatever I'm looking for. So I wanted to, what is the job of a rental property? I'm gonna focus on rental properties, okay? Because whatever it is, there's an emotional tie to a home that you purchase for you, right?
Right.
You're not looking at it as a rental, you're looking at it as on the cap rate, right? Like you're looking at it as long-term, what your equity, right? But on a rental property, what is the job of the rental property?
To create income.
Well, right?
Passive.
Financial independence, wealth building, live on passive income. These are the jobs of this is the job of a rental property. If it's not doing those things, then do you think it's a good rental property? No. So how? How do you do this? Well, there's two ways. There's an income way of doing this, and then there's like the equity piece. Today, I'm just giving you the sizzle, not the steak. So today, I'm not going through deal and no deal, or deal or no deal class, my 1-hour class. That will be on the calendar. I have not chosen a date yet, but it will be on the calendar for sometime in February. Look for it. But this is, today, I'm only going to take the look at the income side, and then what that income is. Well, there's gross rent multiplier, there's the cap rate, there's the net income after financing, there's cash on cash return. I'm not hitting all of these today. I'm hitting one. The first one, gross rent multiplier. Why did I decide to hit that one? Because you know what's interesting is while I'm searching for properties in San Diego, many of them, as you know, that City of San Diego has a lot of Airbnbs. And so a lot of investors own those properties. And when I'm looking at the marketing remarks, guess what it says?
Income producer.
GRM 2.5.
Exactly, GRM, whatever number, right? Now, how do you know a good GRM?
High.
It's low.
Low. The lower the GRM, the better, right? Well, how do you know what's low and what's high?
Every market's gonna be a little bit different.
Every market's gonna be different. So if I'm in New York City and there's a 40 GRM, right? I'm gonna say that that's probably the average. If I get a 30 out of it, if I get a 30 GRM, that means that's a great property. Now move that 30 into Antelope Valley, that's horrible, right? So depending on your market. So how do you're gonna have a homework assignment today so that you can learn this. Now those of you who don't want to do it will not learn. It's very simple. So those who don't do it will not learn what their market can bear, what it should look like. So you look at the properties in the Antelope Valley, you have to know one thing. You have to know what rent is going for in the area. How do you think you know that? How would you find out?
The MLS, one thing.
Yeah.
Craigslist.
Rent.com,
Apartments.com.
apartments.com, MLS. All the information's on the websites, right? You can Google it on the World Wide Web. Right? It is there. So, how do we figure this weird GRM thing out? There we go. So, total price divided by the rent is going to give you the GRM.
Is that the monthly rent or the?
I'm going to go right through it right now. I'm going to give you examples.
Oh, okay.
Let's say a property is worth $144,000. When I say total price, what do I mean? I mean the price of the property plus any rehab if you have to put any rehab into it. If it's lipstick on a pig and you have to put lipstick on that pig by putting some flooring and painting, then you have to add that to your purchase price. So the total purchase price. I've used some small numbers just so that I'll show you some real live local numbers, but right now, I just want you to understand the concept. So if a property, after a rehab, after everything is worth, let's say I bought the property for $100,000 and I put $44,000 in a rehab, that'd make it $144,000. And let's say the rent in the area is $1,000 a month. So that means I'm gonna now divide it by the 12,000 per year, right? And then that equals to a 12 GRM. So how are you gonna know if it's a good GRM or if it's not a good GRM? The lower the number, the better. So who thinks that's a high GRM? Who thinks it's a low GRM?
I think it's a low GRM.
Actually, high.
Any other?
It's high.
Mark, what do you think, Mark?
It's high.
I think it's high. I think it depends on your area. Remember I said that? It was a trick question. It was a trick question. I think it depends on your area. That's what I think. So let's say there's another property, and this property, I don't have to do anything with it, was 300,000, and this, it's, you know, 1250 a month on rent. So I'm gonna do that, divide it by 15,000, because that's what it is, times 12, right? And that's a 20. So obviously, the 12 looks better now, right? Everything is relative to its comparison, so what are you comparing it to? You're not comparing it to other properties, you're comparing it to the area of what, in that area, what it is. So the lower the number, the better the rent. Here's some real live properties here in our local market that I looked up last night. The night before last, sorry. So you have a 469, this property is there for as a rent. By the way, I think I pulled it off the MLS. So it's for rent, $3,000. It's a 3+2. It's in Ports Hill. It's 8,048 square feet. So I just took this 469 number and I said, okay, 470. And then I went, oh, $3,000. There's my 13. That's what I got for the GRM. And then I looked at this other property and I was like, this is interesting. This one has the same rent, but the property was 600. I mean, that's a big difference, right?
Yeah, it is.
Who's screaming to go get that deal? Who wants that deal? Not as a rental, maybe to buy the home, to purchase it for yourself. Sure. Make sense?
Yeah.
So here's the homework assignment, guys. Go on the MLS. Find out what's our GRMs here. Then you'll know what a good GRM looks like. Because I could simply stand here and give you the answer. But what would you learn?
Not enough.
Nothing. I'm probing you to go learn. Yes, on Zoom. Someone say something? Any questions on
So
the
the
chat? Okay, go ahead.
The same concept applies to multiple units, right?
Same
Same
concept,
concept,
multiple
but
units.
multiple
So if
seats.
it's a fourplex or something.
Right, you could do that. Yes.
The formula's exactly the same, right?
The formula's the same.
Right.
Yeah.
So the idea is to go on the MLS, look up rentals,
And then see what the
what
property is.
some property for sale, right?
Well, you're gonna know what the
Let's see what it's sold
property,
for.
you're a realtor, you're gonna know what that property is worth, right?
Right.
And then you go, oh, okay. Or you could do it vice versa. You go, oh, here's what I found on, what is the average rent for a 3+2, maybe in this zip code versus that zip code, and then look at the prices of the homes that are for sale, and then plug that in, right? You could do it that way or the other way. I prefer to, it's just a preference of mine, is to know what in that zip code, what are they going for rent? And then I go on the MLS and I go, okay, let me see these properties, and is the GRM low enough for me to purchase as a investment property? Okay, so I know I'm coming to an end to mine, but I do need to share a story. So, okay, so here's a little story that you may or may not know about me, but I think that when stories come from your own shoes, they feel different, right? So I'd like to share this with you. So here you go. I had to rebuild myself 3 times in my life. When I say rebuild myself 3 times, I mean financially, emotionally, and every other way that you can think of. In the last rebuild of myself, which was most traumatic but not the biggest letdown, if that makes sense. Our biggest tragedy, but it was significant, was in December 7th, 2010. So, I quit my job on, I think it was May or June of 2010. I was a team leader here, and I quit my job because the anguish of my life was so ridiculous that I needed to step away. I went through a devastating divorce after 22 years of marriage, and most people start out life with zero, and I would have been happy to be at zero. I was at negative $78,000. I had to rebuild that at that time. In 2011, remember I said 2010, December 7th, so the end of the year. Between Christmas and New Year, I had to think of what I was going to do in 2011. I had to be positive, right? I had to create no choices of failure for myself. So, little by little, I started putting my life back together again. And one of those big components was the financial piece. Like I said, I was already $78,000 in the hole. That's not including my daily life. So it kept on increasing almost on a daily basis. So in 2011, March of 2011, I bought a property that I could not afford, bought a home, because I was also renting. That was 2011. How long ago was that?
Not too long ago.
Not too long ago. What you can do in a year, you will overestimate. What you can do in a decade, you will underestimate. In 2011, I bought a property. It was on Denham, West Palmdale, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. I didn't have enough money or credit to get in it all by myself. So I asked somebody to co-sign with me. Happened to be that person was my brother. My brother did it, and got an FHA loan, 3% down, purchased the property, lived in the property for 1.5 years. Why? Well, because I was like, I need to move to the next property and make it another FHA loan. At that time, they wouldn't check if you had one already. It was like, oh, I got one, but then they got savvy to it, and then it was just around that time, they were like, oh, no, that other one you had FHA. So then I would have to refinance, that property, and get a conventional loan out of that, and through the equity of that property, it allowed me to do so without putting cash in. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And then somebody else was paying my mortgage, right? That renter was paying my mortgage. I still have that property, by the way. If anyone who knows me knows that I'm the worst seller on the planet. I will never sell. I'm a buy and hold person. Today I have 9 properties. 7 of them are paid free and clear. Not because I paid them, because I had a strategy around getting them paid. There's a difference. I'm looking for my 10th property in San Diego. That's what I did in a decade. I'm no different than you. As a matter of fact, many of you are much more blessed than I was, even just starting out in life. I grew up in the projects of New York. Yeah. Where'd you start? I didn't have a dad. My mom was 21 years old and illiterate. You can all do it. The wealth building is not for the wealthy. By the way, do you know the difference between rich and wealthy, right? I was always wealthy, even when I didn't have money. I was wealthy with the blood that runs through my veins and the community that I created through people. These communities in KW or outside of KW, communities that you create is your wealth. Your legacy is your wealth. The blood that runs through your veins is your wealth. The financial piece is just an added piece to all of that. So I'll leave you with this. Thank you for being part of my community, and I hope to impact yours.
Yes.
See you.
So Amy is in the office almost every day. Please reach out to her. I know she will answer any questions. She will help out, and she is amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
And George,
Last thing.
update us on the RPA.
Yes. So, good morning. Oh, is that open? All right, how many of you guys love changes? Not very many of you, right? How many of you guys are used to the new RPA that actually was released when? December of last year? Well, previous year, not last year. Last year just went by, right? Oh. Well, there's some more changes that happened on the RPA, and mind you, I'm on the same boat with you guys as far as learning and understanding all these new changes. The good thing is that a lot of these changes, it's verbiage, right? It's a lot of just making things a lot more clear than what it was when this new RPA, which went from 14 to 16 with all the grids, and when it came out, what was it, 21? 21, right? Yes, 21, December 21, right? So now we have a new version. We're gonna have the office actually email you guys, everybody, a copy of this draft because it's color coordinated on the actual changes that happen on the RPA. So as you can see, any changes are going to be in the reddish color. Okay. Again, a lot of these changes are just verbiage trying to clear stuff up on the contract, but there are a few changes that will affect the way you do business. Okay, and I want to focus on those changes pretty much only, and you guys can read what the changes are by following the red remarks. If you guys have any questions, you can come and ask me, or you can come to my contrast class. We have it today at 1 from 1 to 3 is a 2-hour class, and it'll definitely help you guys out. So the main one that I want to go to is G3. Okay. Seller agrees to pay the obligation of buyer to compensate buyer's broker under a separate agreement. CAR Form SPB attached. If you're open on your mic, can you mute yourself, please? Broker's offer, if any, to compensate buyer's broker is unaffected unless otherwise agreed. You guys reading this, somebody give me your opinion what you think this means. Tiffany.
The buyer's agent gets zero unless there's a contract.
It seems that way,
Yeah.
right? It seems that way. Who else? Who else has an opinion on this?
That's kind of what
I think,
Hold on, Joanna. Go ahead.
So I was writing RPAs in December and this threw me off. And when you click on that, it has another page.
Correct.
Where you have to put in the commission. And what I took away was even if so whatever you put in there, it makes it contractual. So you can no longer, as a buyer, negotiate your commission on the buy side.
You're kind of on the right boat, but it's a little bit different, right? How many of you guys have ever used a BRE? Or have heard of the BRE for that matter, right? The BRE was a buyer-broker agreement, right? Which was an agreement between the agent working with them and the buyer, which is your buyer contract. In that buyer contract, there was an area where you would actually set the commission that you would like to make. For example, John Silva he does this all the time. This is the way he does his business. I'm not saying that everybody has to do this. It's just the way you do your business. John Silva does this. John Silva makes 3% on every deal. Doesn't matter what the MLS is paying or what they're advertising they're going to pay. If it's 2.5%, John Silva makes 3%. Right? How does he do that? in that BRE, or what we used to be a BRE, because it's actually not available anymore, they changed it, right? The BRE would state in the agreement with your buyer that the buyer would be responsible for the difference of what the MLS was paying. So if the MLS was paying 2.5%, the buyer would be responsible for what? The half point or half of the percentage that John agreed with the buyer that he was going to make, right? Obviously, he would bring the value to the table as to why he was worth the 3%, and obviously his client would see that value and agree to the term, right? Well, what this does, the seller agrees to pay the obligation of the buyer to compensate the buyer's broker under a separate agreement. So going back to John as an example, the buyer agreed to pay John 0.5% to total his commission to 3%. By checking this box, you're now asking the seller to pay for that difference. Does that make sense?
The difference?
Okay? So the 0.5% that John makes to get himself to that 3% or whatever difference is, right? By checking this box, it brings up now the SPV, and you're asking the seller to compensate you the full amount that you agreed with your buyer to come out of his pocket, not the buyer's pocket. Does that make sense? Right? Now, in doing so, the seller is now entitled to view this document. Okay? So if the seller says, Andres, I need to see your document to see the agreement between you and your buyer, you now have to present it.
That's the SPVB.
That is the SPVB. And I would advise you guys to go and take a look at it. It is very similar to the BRE. The BRE is not going to be found anymore. We actually have 3 additional agreements. How do you guys know when a document is an agreement?
When I gotta sign it.
Well, obviously, right? But in CAR, in zip forms, when you bring up one of the forms, how do you know from the get-go that it's an agreement?
It says agreement.
Say again?
It says agreement?
Well, sometimes. If you ever bring a packet and the first thing that you see is the agency, that's an agreement between you and the principal. Who's the principal? The client you're working with. It could be the buyer or the seller. It doesn't matter. Right? But they're always going to have an agency as the first document in that packet. Right? What is the purpose of the agency? Somebody.
It discloses who is representing who.
It's establishing a relationship. According to the Department of Real Estate, who does the client belong to? The broker. Right? So we're disclosing that an agency that Mr. Principal, buyer or seller, will be, it's going to establish a relationship with the brokerage, Keller Williams in this case, and you simply are going to be the authorized representative for that buyer on behalf of the brokerage. Because according to the DRE, the client belongs to the broker. Right? That agency will allow, let's say that Ken has a client and Ken is just not getting along with that client. Right? And the client calls the broker.
Actually, very common.
Right? I know, right? So the broker, since the client belongs to the broker is able to try and keep that client, right? And assign that client to another agent. So our broker will call Mark. Mark, hey Mark, we have a client that is in relationship with Ken. Things aren't working out. I'd like to assign him to you. Would you be open to that? The agency allows the broker to do that. Okay? Because why? The client belongs to the broker. Okay? Any questions so far? Questions? No?
So if that box is not
Yeah,
checked, my question is, if that box is not checked, then the default commission, let's say, is whatever's in the.
Whatever is being advertised on the MLS. Yes. Yes. Intep, you had a question?
Yeah, so wait a minute, you're saying, so the buyer rep agreement is not there, but what form is there for the buyer?
Exactly what you see on the screen. The SPVB. I'm gonna advise everybody on Zoom and online to go take a look at these new documents. Review this new RPA. Remember, it's about what kind of market, what kind of agent do you have to be in this market?
A skilled agent.
A skilled agent. 100%.
Informed.
Right? Education. So do yourself a favor and go take a look at what changes are coming up and happen and established. One more before I let you guys go, okay?
Is this gonna be required by our clients to have?
If you have a difference in that commission, yes. If it's not, no, it stays the same. Okay, the next one that I want to focus on is going to be Q18, the home warranty. Who would choose services for home warranty before this thing was changed? Or who were we used to?
Seller's choice.
The seller's choice, right? We would always put seller's choice. Sellers select all services, right? Or the buyer would put a home warranty of choice, home warranty company of choice, obviously being guided by their agent, and then the seller would come back and counter it. Oh, we are going to do this company for home warranty. Well, something that is extremely important in this section that previously we weren't declaring, it wasn't a declaration of cost, right? It's a declaration of provider. Does that make sense? Right? So as a buyer, I want to have the choice to choose which warranty company is going to be servicing me. So this actually became part of the RPA. So as you can read, home warranty plan chosen by buyer. Coverage includes but not limited to. There was a lot of questions over this section, and they're not clarified, and allowing the buyer to choose the company that they want to have as a provider, and then obviously whatever contractual agreement you guys make with the other side, they'll decide who pays for it. Go ahead, Mark.
I was gonna say, even though the seller is paying for it.
Correct. It is now a buyer choice contractually. Okay? It is now in the contract. It's not like, hey, you know what? I don't want to use Old Republic. I want to use 123 Home Warranty on Palmdale
You should
Boulevard.
bring that point up.
No,
buyer
the contract is clearly stating that the buyer has the right to choose.
So if you get a seller that says, I just paid $700 toward this and I'm making the decision, take it or leave it.
It's not going to allow him to. It's contractual. Right? So it is a buyer choice. Right?
But
So,
you still have the box there that says, well, the box to the right says who pays for it, right?
right. So it's just stating there, it's just declaring who's going to pay the fees.
But from
Right?
now on, it's always the buyer.
It's going to be the
chooses.
buyer's choice as to what service they want as a, what company they want as that provider.
They're gonna be one calling the
Say it again,
home
Kishan?
warranty. I'm just saying, it makes sense. Like, I've always
Right.
let my buyer choose. I've never said seller's choice.
Sure.
Because in my head,
Right.
if the buyer's gonna be calling and dealing with this home warranty company, let them choose. And if there's any issues, it's on them.
100%. 100%. Are you guys okay with one more? I know we're 5 minutes past the hour. Okay.
One more.
One more. It's a quick one.
Only if you're buying lunch.
I got Koopas in my office. Come see me.
Not Taco Bell again.
Oh, this one's important. Solar systems. We now have a solar disclosure.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Okay.
about time.
M under 11M. So if the property has solar, you now have to sign a disclosure disclosing what kind of contract that solar has. Go ahead, Brendan.
Whose responsibility is it for the solar to be qualified with the buyer? Is that escrow's job to do that?
It's the buyer's responsibility.
It's the buyer's responsibility.
Yes,
Definitely.
100%.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. 12.2. Investigation of any other matter affecting the property other than those that are specified as separate contingencies. Buyer investigations include but are not limited to an investigation of availability and the cost of general homeowners insurance, flood insurance, and fire insurance. What does this mean, George? It means that now the insurance fee becomes a contingency on the RPA.
Oh, wow.
So for example, you're in escrow, you're reviewing the disclosures and doing your investigation of the property and doing everything that you're responsible to do as a buyer. Then you go and you get a quote for insurance, and the insurance says, oh my God, it's crazy high. That gives you a contingency to be able to step out of the contract. This is something new.
Within 17 days.
within a 17-day
Or whatever
period.
time
Yes,
period.
yes. So there's some additional changes. I would advise it because we don't have enough time to do it right now, but if you come to my contract spot, we'll go over it, okay? If you guys have any questions, just send me an email, text, easiest way to do it, or come to contracts. We will be sending this out to everybody in the office. Again, if you have any questions, just let us know.
George, can you remind them the time of your class?
1 to 3, it's a 2-hour class, okay? It's typically on Wednesdays from 1 to 3. This week I had some personal obligations that I had to take care of yesterday, so we moved it to today. So today 1 to 3, next week we'll resume back on Wednesday. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, George.
Thank you, George.
All these guys?
Yeah.